Not every tide brings back what it takes, but some mornings feel like forgiveness. There was no thunder, no wind pushing at the walls, just the hush of the sea and the space between questions that hadn't been asked yet. Some stories don't shout. They slip in quietly, told in second chances, in saltstone glances, in footsteps that pause just long enough to be noticed. This is Shoreline Secrets, Chapter 3. The Things the Tide Gave Back. This was the kind of morning that didn't explain itself. But if you listened, really listened, you might hear the moment before something begins. In this chapter, Jamie waited, not for a storm this time, but for something smaller, maybe softer, maybe just a boy with a surfboard. Morning came slow, not heavy like storms, just quiet, pale, like the day hadn't decided yet what it wanted to be. The house was still, no creak from the attic, no sound from his uncle downstairs, only the sea. Jamie sat at the edge of the bed, one sock on, one in his hand, not really getting dressed. The kitchen smelled faintly of tea leaves. The air still held salt from the night before. He stepped outside. Sam had said early, but early could mean a lot of things to someone who moved with the tide. So Jamie waited. Not at the cliff, not at the shore, just by the gate. He just stood. And then Sam appeared, holding two surfboards awkwardly over his head, arms stretched wide like some kind of sleepy-armed scarecrow. His hair was still damp from the morning rinse. One flip-flop was half on, the other missing. And the look on his face, the kind of look that said, "I regretted this the second I left the house." Sam shouted, "You ready?" Jamie nodded, the edges of his lips curling upward, not in amusement, but in something quieter. Sam stepped forward with a huff and exhaled as he passed one board to him, the weight clearly catching up. Jamie caught it, adjusting his grip, easing into the moment. "Thanks," he said. And the two of them turned toward the sea. The beach was empty, low tide curling in white crescents, like the sea was trying not to wake anyone. They didn't head straight into the water. Sam dropped his board onto the sand, like he'd done it 1,000 times. Just crouched beside the board, flattening a space with his hand, motioning Jamie down beside him. "Before you ride away," Sam said, brushing sand flat with the side of his hand, "you gotta know how to fall." He looked up at Jamie with a crooked half-smile, the kind that hinted this wasn't just about surfing. "Falling's not a failure," he added. "It's how you figure out where to stand." Jamie raised an eyebrow. "I thought surfing happened in water." Sam glanced over. "Tell that to the bruises on my ribs. Now lie down, stomach flat, hands here." The lesson started simple. Paddle posture, hand placement, balance. Sam moved easily around him, adjusting his elbow with a quick tap, nudging his foot slightly without asking. "You'll fall forward first. Everyone does. If you fall backward, you're overthinking it." Jamie didn't respond. He just nodded, jaw a little tighter than before. After 30 minutes, Sam stood and stretched. All right, let's see you forget all of that in real time. They waded out. Jamie paddled hard, unsure if he was doing any of it right. Probably wasn't. He tried catching the first wave. Too early. The second, too late. The third, it caught him and spun him. A full tumble, board flying out from under him. He stood up in waist-deep water, dripping, breathless, blinking the sting of salt out of his eyes. Sam, still floating on his board, watched with what might have been pity or amusement. See you back on the sand. So much for natural talent. But for some reason, the failure didn't feel like the end of something. Just a start of being seen. Wrong-footed, off balance, but seen. They sat a little longer, until the salt dried on their skin, and the silence felt full but not heavy. Then Sam stood. I know a better place to rest. Jamie looked up. Come on, Sim said, tilting his head toward the path. It's cooler there. And 0 witnesses if you decide to fall asleep drooling. He started walking, not waiting for an answer. His board bounced lightly against his hip. It wasn't a command, but it also wasn't a request. It felt like an invitation. Jamie followed, not struggling exactly, just heavier. Not from the water, not even from the fall, but from something older. The kind of weight that doesn't bruise the skin, but stays anyway. Waiting from silence to notice it. Something that had followed him. All the ways from school hallways to the edge of this coast. Sam didn't seem to carry anything like that. He moved like someone who belonged here. To the path, to the air, to himself. Jamie watched him from behind, quietly wondering what it would feel like to walk like that. You come out here a lot? Jamie asked. Sometimes. Mostly when the weather's in a good mood, Sam replied. He dropped his board beside a weathered rice and lay back in the grass, arms folded behind his head, eyes on the sky like it had nothing to demand from him. He didn't say this is the spot, but it was. Jamie hesitated, then followed, slower, folding himself down onto the ground beside him. Not close enough to touch, just near enough to share the view. The sky above stretched pale and endless, the kind of blue that didn't feel warm yet. Beside him, Sam exhaled slowly, like someone who knew how to rest in his body. For a while, they just lay there, the sound of their breathing falling into a rhythm of the wind. Not synchronized, but not out of step either. Jamie turned his head slightly, gaze drifting to Sam. His face relaxed. You really love it, don't you? The sea. Sam didn't move. It's the only thing that doesn't ask for anything back. Jamie didn't know if that was sad or enviable. Maybe both. He hesitated, then spoke again. You ever shared it with someone? Sam's eyes flicked toward him. He didn't smile this time, just looked. Held Jamie's gaze longer than usual. A pause. Then Sam turned back to the sky. The quiet stretched, not empty, just undecided. He let the next question rise like a wave. Not loud, not forced, just there. Can I tell you something? Jamie hadn't meant to say it. Not today. But something about the stillness made it harder to keep carrying. Sam didn't speak, didn't push, just lay beside him, listening. Jamie opened up, not all at once, not with drama, just enough for the truth to begin. He told Sam why he was here. There was a boy back at school. Jamie started. He didn't say the boy's name, didn't need to. He talked about the way they used to walk home in the same direction. The long glances, the silence between them. How he thought maybe it meant something. Until one of his friends said something. A joke in the schoolyard. A laugh that landed too close to truth. Jamie had panicked. So I said he was the one. He was the one always looking at me. The boy didn't speak to him after that. Didn't look at him. The next week they fought. Not loudly. Just enough for teachers to pull them apart. Enough for Jamie to be sent home. My mom said maybe I needed a break. Somewhere quiet. Since it's my last year. Sam didn't respond right away. He sat up slowly, arms resting on his knees, and looked at Jamie. Not with judgment, not even surprise, just something close to ache. Then quietly, "You're not the only one who's done something afraid. And you're not the only one still carrying it." They lay there for a while, just letting the hush do what words sometimes can't. Time passed like tide, slow and certain. Then Sam spoke. "My great-grandfather used to surf this coastline." Jamie turned his head, but didn't interrupt. Sam continued. He talked about finding an old letter once. Folded, yellowed, left inside a book no one had opened in years. Not a diary. Just a single letter, never sent. A love letter, unfinished. He wrote it to someone he couldn't be with. Said he lost everything for loving. Jamie didn't ask how old the letter was. Didn't ask if Sam ever found out who it was meant for. Some silence don't come from not knowing. They come from knowing enough. Sam sat up slowly again, looked out over the edge. Sometimes I wonder if they should still get that letter. He didn't say who or how. But something in the wind picked up right then, like the sea wanted to carry it anyway. A gull called once, then nothing. Jamie sat up too, brushing sand from his palms. Something a little easier in his posture now. "Do you want to try to find them?" Jamie asked, voice steadier than he expected. Then after a breath, "I could help." He didn't say it like a maybe. He said it like someone who knew how much it mattered to be found. Sam turned to him surprised. Not by the offer, but by the way Jamie said it. Not like a joke, not like a dare, just like someone who meant it. And for the first time since they met, Jamie didn't look like he wanted to disappear. He looked like he might stay. Like maybe this summer wasn't about forgetting. Maybe it was about finding something. They started walking back, not in a hurry, not quite ready to let go of the afternoon. The sun stretched lower behind them, painting long shadows across the cliffs. Just before they reached the edge of the path, Sam glanced sideways. "You're not the only person here who's gay." He said it lightly, like a secret that didn't need whispering anymore. Jamie blinked, then smiled. Not a big one. They stood like that for a moment, not needing to say much more. Just the wind brushing the tall grass, the sea whispering below. Then, Jamie said, "Tomorrow morning, same time, right?" Just two boys, a soft smile, and the same time tomorrow. If this chapter stayed with you, leave a comment, share the quiet, and make sure you're here for the next tide. Chapter 4 is coming soon. Until then, subscribe, breathe deep, and we'll meet you by the water.
The first time I saw him, the world held its breath.